And thank you for joining us. And for those folks that, how many folks here flew in and took a flight? Okay, so easy flights, no delays, no challenges. Yeah. All right. Well, my name is Jett McCandless. I've spent 20 years in the industry. Most recently as the founder and CEO of project44. I'm lucky enough to be here today with Paige from SAP, so we're very excited to talk about a number of topics. At project44, we're the world's leading advanced visibility platform. We do business with over 2,000 shippers, companies like Amazon, Bosch, Dollar General. We also do a lot of business with third-party logistics companies like Coyote and Echo. And then also a lot of carriers for folks that are on the asset side that are really making the shipments happy, like FedEx and Warner and Old Dominion. And basically what we try to do is we try to help eliminate the manual processes of legacy technology and all the inefficiencies that happen here. As I mentioned with Paige here, Paige is the head of digital supply chain networks at SAP. She has, you ready for this? It's a lot of responsibilities. Paige has the responsibilities for the entire supply chain business network, the strategies including design, manufacturing, asset intelligence, and logistics business network. So very excited to have you here. Thanks for flying in from Germany.
Thank you, Jett, and good morning, everybody.
Yeah. Great. Well, some more folks here as they trickle in, and hey Jake, as they trickle in and they come in. We'll kind of start out with some questions here. When I think about SAP and I think about, there certainly are a lot of 3PLs, tech providers here, a lot of carriers here. When I think about why SAP is so important here, and SAP of course has many large customers that are LSPs and 3PLs and carriers. But it's really, most of the folks here, really their target customer is a shipper. Mm-hmm. And you have over 30,000 of them. And the largest shippers, and I was thinking about it last night, for the folks here that are probably trying to make their Q4 numbers or what their goals are next year in 2020, they're probably highly dependent on closing SAP customers to hit the goals that their board has given them. So I thought it was a really unique opportunity here. And many of the folks in the audience here, what changes would you expect that they should think of in the next 1 to 2 years that their shippers are going to start to require them?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we come from the business world. We're one of the largest privileged software providers for the enterprise customers, the shippers in this case, and in our supply chain world, what we see the next, right now happening and also carry on to the next 1 to 2 years is really in this customer experience economy. So we think about a supply chain in this experience economy that everything is centered around the customer for that ultimate experience. If today you see the consumers like you and me, that I see it online and I like it, I can click like on the Twitters or Instagram and Facebook, and then I want it, right? When I want it, I want to click it once and I want to get it, and it's that easy. But not just that, I wanted to have it. So when I want it, then I want it the minute I want it, and then it needs to be delivered to me. And that experience, so when we talk about the product experience in general, it's not only just about the product anymore, it's about this whole experience, about my order experience, yes, my delivery experience. And the whole thing has to come together. And then the world is volatile, right? We have a supply chain for that very product to reach that very customer. All of the people in between, and includes many of you that are the partners to all the people that are doing business together. And therefore, we are dealing with, for example, the trade things that are changing. It hasn't been changing for decades, but now it's changing.
That's right.
The regulations are changing, the tariffs are changing, right, and then Brexit, God knows whether it would happen or not. I'm married to a Brit, so I don't know even I will be illegal anymore in Germany in a couple of months. So it's now this requires people to really rethink how do I distribute, how do I replan define my sales channel, how do I reach, who do I do business with, and customer needs that breakthrough innovation. And for SAP, we come from the backbone of strength of logistics, that we can do the very heavy lifting of planning and the warehouse management and so on and so forth, and planning your inventory, your supply network. But that's not enough, because if we only focus on the intra-company and not beyond the inter-company to reach out to the ecosystems, then it's not enough to deliver that ultimate experience. So we have invested into our business networks area, and this is one my brand new responsibility after being SAP for 19 years, among all globally, everywhere. And in the business network, you don't do it alone, right? So we launched our SAP Logistics Business Network this year, and it is an open platform. It's multi-capability and multi-mode platform, where we can bring all the trading partners in one place and orchestrate that end-to-end logistic collaboration and also visibility. And there we don't do it alone, and that's why we're here, right? Because we've collaborated how we could work together as partners and project44 and SAP together to take the visibility data from P44 visibility platform combined with our business processes and deliver that experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. Really appreciative of that opportunity to partner with SAP. When you think about, I'm really excited to unpack this. When we think about the partnerships and we think about what are the core components of a successful partnership, one of the topic here is vaporware and kind of separating the haves and the have-nots, the bad actors out there. What do you think the components are of a good partnership in order to make sure it's successful, and how do you measure a partnership?
I think, the vaporware and the real thing, it's hard to tell. So only if you can, I think it's very important that for a real partnership to really flourish, is to focus on that ultimate customer experience and satisfaction. So if we can have this joint proposition and solving real business challenges, I've seen a lot of very fancy technologies out there, and also beautiful UIs, much more beautiful than SAP UIs. But in the end, if we don't give that supply chain intelligence, that control back to the customer, then you can have spotted intelligence in different fragmented segmentations. And in the end, you still cannot stitch that together. So if the customer always wanted to know, where's my order, how is that going to impact my inventory, they will not know that. And someone has to provide that neutral capability to bring all that together in one place. And then the visibility intelligence doesn't come if visibility doesn't provide action.
That's right.
So insight is meaningless if action cannot be taken, right? Yeah. So, and that's something I think we've talked about a lot, is how to create that joint value and share the same core competencies, also values, how we bring the partnership and deliver real customer innovations.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's one of the reasons I was so attracted to SAP initially, was that core value of actually delivering product that added value, not some slick UI or some empty promise that was possible. It's about how do you really deliver data? How can you actually deliver value to your customer that allows them to have insights? When we think about the partnerships and some of those core building blocks that you talked about, if those are missing, and the product's vaporware, how do you think, and you've had almost 2 decades experience at SAP, how do you think that impacts the ROI, which is how so many of these products are purchased on? Typically, procurement or a business user is not looking to buy just some type of slick tech. They have a need that they want to solve. There's a technology provider that they run a process with, and then there's typically some type of ROI they have to have processed. When it is vaporware, when it is missing those components through the partnerships or however it's going to work in the ecosystem, how do you think that impacts the ROI?
Yeah, that's also very interesting. So if we talk to our customers today, they go through this also transformation. When we early days when SAP was leading the entire enterprise market, that most big customers have our ERP and have our install base, our core. And then over time, the different providers and vendors started creating different values, and our customers started also adopting that, right? So the industry always evolves. And now they started realizing these communication and the individual connection become very expensive, right? So now the cost is switching from the software provider and service provider to the customer themselves, that they procure different vaporware or not, that they create all these one-to-one connectivities, and that's very, very expensive. And in the end, they struggle to say, okay, I have the best breed of all these little pieces. How do I put all that inside together to give me this overview of my entire supply chain? So now they're coming back to SAP, saying, can you solve that problem for us? Because in the end, if I'm the one building all this in one-to-one integration, then it's a high maintenance cost. It's also really difficult to make sense out of the data. Therefore, it makes sense. So for a partnership is really to have a very clear view what are the joint challenges we're trying to solve. And in the end, regardless what technology it is to provide that end-to-end process integration, and with the technology being the enabler, right? Because back again, if you can all the time giving control of the real-time data, being able to in real-time sense and response to any kind of disruption or exception, and being able to feed that execution data back to your plan data, and then being able to instant replan and adjust, then it comes the intelligence of the supply chain.
Yes. I think if we unpack that, you have a lot of great points there. So what I heard in there was the old legacy ways of a one-to-one or point-to-point connection. They're expensive to set up. The nature of those technologies also are asynchronous. So you have a lot of batch working that's there. They're expensive to maintain. And then because of the nature of the technology, they're also difficult to troubleshoot and to monitor. And so that kind of leads to all these manual processes. I know one thing, the whole underlying thesis of project44, the reason that I started the company was for high quality synchronous data. And the idea was with this more modern technology like APIs that are available, and connecting APIs into telematics providers or into hardware devices or into a carrier's public or private API. Now as we sit here for the last couple of years, you're able to build a one-to-many network. And that can be leveraged, it can be reused and repurposed time and time again for, that's all 30,000 SAP customers, or it's a 3PL or a logistics service provider or a carrier that's here, that's just trying to, that wants to deliver that value, that core data directly to their shipper. So it's great to hear that we have alignment there. How do you see, you're a very innovative person, but you're also, when I see you make business decisions, I also see you make decisions based on market research. And so when you see your customers out there, we talk about logistics business network, the division that you're responsible for. How do you see shippers, these SAP customers, what do you see their expectations for data quality currently? How much has that changed from maybe a year or two ago, and how do you think that's going to continue to change for the folks in here that are carriers or third-party logistics companies that are trying to sell to those shippers?
Yeah, so the shippers, there's two things in most the shippers, whether you're a customer that you are distributing to the retailers, to your customer chains, or you're the supplier that going to a customer. Yes. So that you have all the different ways. So oftentimes you play both that role. So you rely on your supplier to ship to you for the things to be on time, so you can orchestrate your downstream manufacturing and your distribution. or you have to worry about that your product is going to be distributed and creating that right customer satisfaction to your customer base. So you oftentimes, the SAP customer have to deal with both. They need this inbound visibility, but also this outbound visibility. And there, they completely rely on the trading partners and the business partners to do it together. So therefore, this data, the insight is only as good as the quality of data, and the end-to-end business process can only be achieved if all the parties are in one platform and collaborate and being able to form that true partnership. The service level that I deliver to my customer is completely relying on my logistic providers. So if my logistic providers don't have the excellent delivery experience on behalf of me, then my product will suffer, right? And then I also rely on my logistic partners between me and my supplier to make sure that relationship is smooth. So I think in this ecosystem, everybody plays a very important role for that very product to that very customer, and all the parties intertwined in between. And for logistic business partners out there, you also have subcontracted carriers or other providers. So this layered N-tier kind of visibility becomes harder and harder. So if not everybody is being able to provide the right insight and the data, and for someone to cleanse that data, to put it together, and then correlating to the back-end business processes, saying, okay, now I know where that truck is, but if that truck is delayed, whose order is on that truck? What's in the order? And who's the customer? And what is the financial impact if that order doesn't reach that customer? And those are difficult business problems to solve. And that is not something you just talk about technology or vaporware, right? These are hardcore supply chain challenges we have to solve together.
That's right. Yeah, mission critical.
Exactly.
It is great, you know, when we talk to venture firms or folks like that from outside of the industry, they try to wrap their minds around what exactly it is, like someone like SAP and project44 would be partnering on. You know, you kind of have to start with some of those basic ideas that one company's outbound is another company's inbound. And these concepts of prepaid and collect, and how that really makes it more difficult. And then you start to put in that, depending if it's the shipper or the consignee, who contracted the carrier, and was it an asset-based or non-asset-based? Was it a global move or domestic? And so putting all those pieces together really are quite challenging. And I agree with you. If you have vaporware, or if you have technology that can't be trusted, and you put it in place and you set these expectations, what I've noticed is that the folks that are using the software day to day, they start to work around the software, and they start to create their own manual processes, which diminish the ROI, but it creates a lot of bad behavior, and it's very difficult to get them back to using that. So when you're thinking about actually the procurement process of technology, you know, by the way, the process of being approved at SAP was a really super easy process. When you're thinking about that process, what was the framework you used to determine what the best partner would be for SAP?
Let's take an example in the logistic business network. So that's because that's where our partnership lies. There we looked at a lot of visibility providers out there. We looked at a lot of startups and different regions. If we think about the logistics space, it's very fragmented, and people are focused on certain modes, right? They're very best of breed on the modes, and also have a very focus on the geographical coverage. And therefore, for us, it's important to have a partner that can bring all the modes and all the geographies together. And that's why I think project44 and SAP come together. It's a very good complementary offering that we can really bring that end-to-end view of the supply chain together. Then of course, the core values of the company, that how the people, the technology, all of this have to come together, that we share the common interest of serving the best for the customer. So those are also very important for us as SAP, because we're a purpose-driven company. We would like to give back to the world.
That's great. That's great. Well, it looks like we're out of time here. So I'd like to thank you. I'm extremely honored. When we had started this company 5 years ago, if I thought that I'd be on stage with Paige Cox from SAP, I would have said that's a really ambitious goal. So thank you for flying in from Germany. Thank you everyone here for battling the weather. Really appreciate you all taking the time out to meet with us. And Paige and I will be around for the next day or so. If you have any questions on how we can help you modernize and digitalize your company and help you meet the demands of your customers. So thank you.
Thank you.